Why am I doing this during an eclipse? So let's talk about being a child actor. So one of the questions that I get asked the most is, how can I get my child into show business? Eek. I thought this was going to be easier to talk about. All I want to do is just run out the door. I don't want to talk about this, actually. When I was acting as a child, the 80s and 90s were a wild time, and everything was competition. The Olympics were really big. The pageants were really big. There was Star Search and lots of dance competitions. And I was a dancer, so that's what I did mostly, was dance competitions and pageants. It was just thought to be a really good place to start to figure out how to have grace and to speak well in public and prepare yourself to go to university and then probably do more pageants. I don't know. All I was thinking was, this is going to be a good stepping stone to get into television. And I'm saying this as like a 9-year-old, right? This point of view is from a child as well. I got to roll it back even further. Why was I even doing this? Was this something that I wanted to do just because I was in dance class and it was introduced to me? No, this was a plan. Okay, my plan. The plan to lift my family up back where I thought we should be. A place where I hadn't actually really spent much time because my parents got divorced when I was like 4.5 or something. And some of this isn't even my story to tell because there were other people in the house, right? But this is just my point of view. One day I will talk about the Mickey Mouse Club, but today is not that day. Today is back before that even happened. My plan was to fix everything that the divorce had ruined. I spent most of my time at the dance studio. Even though I did not have a stage mom, like she was not interested in this at all, but she was interested in me, right? She was always there after a hard day's work to take me to class or to pick me up from dance class. And she would sit there and read her book while I was training, whether it was vocal lessons or ballet, tap, jazz, lyrical, gymnastics. She was there because it kept me out of trouble and I was good at it. And we had had a really hard time. We moved a lot. We were keeping up this. Yeah, I'm even like scared to tell my family's business, because I was raised to just pretend like everything was okay. It's not that she didn't let me have my emotions, because she did. She was a child development specialist, so she was very good at letting me have my emotions to a certain point. I mean, this is still a Black household. You do not say. You kept it at home. You didn't show what was going on outside. And that was for safety reasons, but it's also a little bit just like, fake it till you make it, which doesn't work. So it was hard to maintain that. It was hard to go to school, get good grades, which that was a non-negotiable, and then do all these extracurricular activities. What I'm trying to talk about is why parents let their children go into a world that is so unsafe, that is so chaotic, that will change everything about your life, that will take your childhood and you will not get it back. And again, this is my experience. This is my experience as a little Black girl coming from a working class home, sometimes middle class, but mostly working class. It was not easy. There was a lot of things that we had to sacrifice. And that means leaving other kids behind to go to another state, which if you live in America, the states are giant countries, right? Like, I had to go from California to Florida. That's like going to another country and you're leaving your other kids. Now that I'm a parent, That is not okay. That is not something that I could do. And I know a lot of people do this for gymnastics. They do it for big acting opportunities. I couldn't do it. I'm not going to leave any other kids. I'm not even going to leave my partner. That's ridiculous to me. I came from a big separation, and I wouldn't create more separation and experience all that kind of trauma again. You are setting your child up for a ton of rejection. Now, some people might say, well, that's character building. I say, why would you want to get rejected every day and then make a career out of it when you could be forming communities and lifelong friendships and doing great things for the world in addition to your art? Like, it doesn't have to be separate. You shouldn't have to choose, okay? That is what I think is missing. And for kids, especially in the 80s and 90s, it was like, we gotta make it. We gotta get out of here. The world is really hard and we gotta win. And the way to win is to be the best. So if you could achieve that, you really could go far. But the cost, oh my God, the cost of not being steady, not having steady relationships, friendships, being exposed to adults that don't give a shit about you because you are a product. That's just real. You're separated from your other family members a lot of the time. You're bouncing in and out of regular school and then school on set. Dubious. Now, I had a lot of luck. I did have some friends sometimes in the situations that I was in, and I did have some good on-set teaching. But I was also a good student anyway, so I was able to carry that and not feel like I was losing out, and then also graduated and went on. A lot of kids can't do that. Or there are adults who are saying, you know, the show or the movie or whatever is more important than your school. So you're getting rushed through it and you're missing out. And then there's going through puberty in front of the whole world. Do not recommend. Oh my God. As a dancer, I already had a bunch of body issues. And that just made it worse because your body's going like, you know, like it's changing, and they're taking fucking Polaroids of you every day for continuity. And it just messes with your head. And that was a terrible time for women anyway. Loving your body, loving all sizes, shades, all that stuff, that wasn't happening. Body positive movement. What? No, it was hate your body. Do not eat. Don't do it. And this weird thing of like this strange thing of, if you were just to be a good citizen in the world doing much needed jobs, it wasn't enough. It was like doctor, lawyer, huge sports star, or pop star. You know, there wasn't like nobody else existed. Like, what? It was really strange. And parents were willing to do whatever it took to give their child a chance to make it, to be the best, to surpass all of the odds, you know. But we all know what happened to most of the kids that got on television during that time. It wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. They did not endure. A lot of them aren't even here anymore. Or they had mental breakdowns in front of the whole world. Anyway, I just hightailed it to a different country and reinvented myself and did something out of fun. And it almost worked. I mean, I was successful at it, but I wasn't able to maintain my happiness even then. Boo! It's just this weird thing where it's like perpetual struggle and paying dues and competition and trusting strangers, like just vibes, right? Like you hear this agent is good or this producer is okay or whatever, and there's very little, there are very few rules and regulations, and yeah, not a place for a child. So when parents ask me, oh, how did you do it? How did you get into the business? Can you give me advice about how I can get my kid in the business? And I usually always start with like, no, I don't think you should do that. I really don't. But here's the checklist, right? Do you need money? Which most of us do, right? Then don't do it, because you're going to do some things to get the money, or that you think that you should do, even if your body is telling you like, this might not be a good idea. You're going to do it anyway because you want the money. You feel like there's a possibility that, this thing is going to be the one. It's going to be the one thing that's going to take you to the top. And what is the top anymore? The top keeps getting further and further away from us, right? Number 2, can the family stay together? If you can't, then absolutely fucking not. Like, life is too precious. It's too precious. Why would you leave your kids or your other kids or your spouse behind? That is bananas. Can you afford therapy every week? Can you? Because you're gonna fucking need it. You are going to need it big time. When you're constantly trying to become all these different people, I'm speaking from an actor's point of view, but even just if I was speaking from the music, right? Just from the music that I've done and that or those characters that I've played as a musician, I found it quite difficult to just stay who I was. And if you start out really little, sometimes it's hard to figure out who you are, because you've been changing and adapting for other people for a paycheck for your entire career, which maybe started when you were like 9. You're not gonna know. You're gonna do things to please people, because the more you please people, the better the job, or the longer you stay at that job. That's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure for a kid. Are the people that you're working with community and family first? No. They're not. And I'm not talking about like some religious institution, not that kind of like thing. I am saying, what are their morals and values? Is there always going to be someone around to protect you, to be thinking of you at all times, to be keeping people that are being weird and creepy away from your child? Probably not. Probably not. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened that I've seen where there wasn't anybody around to be like, hey, get that. No, that's not okay. Unless you can guarantee that these people are going to be adhering to the highest safety regulations and going above and beyond for the safety and health of everyone involved. Of course not. That's actually not even showbiz. So I am sure there are some kid actors out there who've had really good experiences, and I am so glad, because this is a really hard, unique, and strange place to find yourself in, and it stays with you for your whole life. So if you had a good time, if it felt to you like summer camp, which I wouldn't go to either, I'm not sleeping with strangers. My mother's not gonna leave me somewhere. That's what she would say. She would never let me stay at camp because she knew that weird things happen at camp. And not everybody has that experience, but we know, because we've watched so many people grow up and things not go well. And people didn't stop it. They didn't intervene. They couldn't turn it around. And I would never purposely put my child in that situation. Am I ragging on my mom? No. Because she did a good job. Like, she would say no to a lot of things. A lot of things. But there was still this, like, okay, we'll just do this one thing and see if that works. Okay, that didn't work. We'll just do another thing and see if that works. Why can't just being at home and doing great, wonderful things with your family and finding some good extracurricular things and doing well in school, why can't that be enough? Why do you have to be bigger and better and like, yeah, bigger and better? Like, we all have the capacity to be these brilliant, outrageous, audacious creatures, right? And we don't have to step all over each other to shine. We can just shine together. But yeah, that's not exactly what we're taught. And what if what we had at home, we weren't trying to escape? Like, what if things were focused on giving kids a better environment so they didn't want to leave or they didn't need to escape? Because that's what was on my mind. I have to get out of here. I have to do something good for my family. I have to fix what the divorce did, what it took away, how it made everybody so sad. You know, why we have to move all the time. I can fix this. God gave me talent so that I could fix it, so I could save the family. Kids do not need to save anybody. And I know some people are like, God, get over it. It was like such a long time ago. At this point, it was almost 40 years ago when I started being, a professional. Or nearly, anyway. But that's my point. It stuck with me this whole time and made me make very strange decisions that I didn't need to make. I could have just been happy and secure. So if you're thinking about this, right? If you're thinking about trying to get your kid into show business, I would start asking yourself, what is it that I'm missing in my life? What is it that I didn't fulfill, achieve, that I'm willing to blow up the family in order to see my kids' dreams come true at this age? Not like 16. I mean, that's a different age. 18 for sure. They're an adult. They can go do it, right? But I'm talking about 9, 10, that age. Even 16 is a kid though. Like, let's not pretend. And getting rejected all the time and being heartbroken, that doesn't build character. It just creates cracks. Why isn't there an emphasis on love and nurturing and support? Why do we want them to learn their lessons, pay their dues? Why are we building society instead and helping each other? I think that watching my mom and my grandmother fulfill their dreams would have been infinitely better than me trying to become a child star. If I could have watched them be joyful, be fulfilled, going after what they wanted and getting it, and really reveling in that, having the support they needed by friends and partners. That's number one. Number two, I would have loved to just do the arts and not have it be a competition, being judged constantly. Even like I played violin for a little bit and I was fighting for first and second chair all the time. That shit was stressful. That was so stressful. And it didn't make it fun. And eventually my mom was like, you gotta pick. We're doing too much stuff. You're doing all this dance, singing, violin, gymnastics. Like, this is too much. And you gotta get straight A's in school. So pick. I was crying all the time. I would wake up in the morning exhausted because I had to do tons of homework. Plus I was at the dance studio for hours and hours and hours. And I was so tired. And this is before I got onto a show where I was working 5 to 6 days a week. Yeah, that was not living. And all, with this pressure of if I just keep doing this, someone's going to see me and we're going to make enough money to, pay off debts and be able to do more things and maybe take a vacation. If I could have seen her happy, not happy through me, but happy because she was doing what she wanted to do, it would have been so much better. She could just work a little bit and not have to work all the time. So we could be together and she wouldn't be exhausted and I could see what she really wanted to do in this life. We would have lived in one house, not 10. There would have been enough money for higher education for everybody, if that's what we wanted to do. Would have learned another language or two would have learned to, in addition to being extraordinary at the natural born talents, just learn how to be a regular human and do regular things. Regular things. What does that mean? All the jobs should have value. All the jobs, especially the teaching jobs, should have so much more value. No more othering the artists. It's too much. And it doesn't make sense anyway. It doesn't make sense. And stop encouraging us not to do other stuff. Like, oh, you should have a job while you're pursuing. No. The job that you have while you're pursuing like stardom or whatever the fuck this is, like that is just as important, because that is part of creating a society that runs well and that we can be kind to each other and supportive of each other no matter what. I'll tell you one thing, when I don't know what England is like now because I haven't been in a really long time, but when I was first going there, when I was probably 18, and then eventually I moved there for a little bit. But what I loved was that people didn't ask you what you did for a living, like at a party. They didn't care. And they almost thought it was rude. And then like you would see everybody together at a club or at the pub. And I understand, I'm not naive. Like there's a lot of classism there. You can tell it just in an accent, you know, from the different regions in that country, what people think of each other, depending on how they sound when they open their mouth. I get that. But the experiences that I had there were so much lovelier when it came to, it didn't matter what you did for a living. We were just there to have a good time. And I loved seeing the businessmen come out of work, loosen their ties, go to the record shop and pick out some disco records, and they were like dancing, testing, 12-inch record. I mean, that was incredible. I'd never seen anything like that before. My ambition was even annoying to them a lot of times. Like, oh my God, like, you are so aggressive with these plans. And I'm not saying don't dream big. That is not at all what I'm saying. But I feel like we're at a point in time where we need to dream big together, you know? And like being the biggest and the baddest and the it's like, why? Like you can look amazing. You can, like, who are you trying to be better than? And why? What is it going to get you? You know, because at the end of the day, all that stuff can be taken. But if you are with people that you love and respect, and they love and respect you, and you're building something, your life is going to be worth living. And you're not going to get as confused. Get off the path and go through a thing. It's so boring now. There's so much that we need to be doing. Being number one. Is it one of them? So if you have a kid that was like me, definitely keep them away from this. And then YouTube kids, they're angry. So even though the medium has changed, it's still the same thing. Maybe worse, because no one was ever looking at me in my house, in the bathroom, you know, doing every little thing. I did have some privacy. Teach them to be kind to themselves, like really, really kind to themselves, and shield them. Shield them from bullying, shield them from competition, shield them from burnout. Artists, we are the keepers of history and time. You can tell when something happened by the way people were dressing and the songs that were out and the dances that were being done and the books that were being written and the art that was being created, the paintings and the sculptures and the architecture. Like, we need to be loved, okay? Not separated. Not isolated, not driven to madness. Because sometimes life is not going to be fun. It's not, you know? But if joy, acceptance, compassion, and creativity are the focus, things are going to be a lot better. We get a healthier, happier world. And healthy, happier kids. And here's the other thing. You got to be careful. with young people. Because even for purely selfish reasons, they're going to be in charge of us one day. And so you mess with them, they're going to mess with us. But honestly, if you spend time with kids, you really spend time with them and you see how magical they are, why would you want to take that from them? Why? Why wouldn't you want to guard that with everything that you have inside of you? I didn't have enough community, love, and support growing up. Even coming from a good family, I just didn't. And I had this sense that I was running out of time, even at 18, to repair, to fix, to get to the big thing that was going to make me happy and change my life forever. And I was lucky because I said, to hell with all this, I'm going to go rave. And that actually stopped. It stopped the pattern for a little bit. And I went and I had a good time. That's what I did. I went to warehouses in the middle of the night when you couldn't, you had to get a flyer and you had to like stop on the side of the road and call and find out where the party was. And that is what kept me on a different path than where I was going. I still got back on and did some stupid shit, but the rave culture, which actually led me to singing dance music, which did and does very well for me. That was the do something different, go towards people who love you, go towards people who want to have a good time together, who are uplifted and feeling amazing and are dancing together and watching the sun rise. And I'm so glad I did that. Some of them choices were dumb as hell, but we had a really good time. What I needed was a soft place to land. And if you continue on in this business the way that it is, that is not usually what is encouraged. It's like a go, 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 because it might end. And I understand. I get this. Your talent needs to be shared with the whole world. The whole world? Who says? Who says it has to be the whole world? Why? Why can't you just have your little chunk? Yeah? Share with each other and then, sure, you could branch out a bit, but why does it have to be so mega? Just ruining shit and creating, villain origin stories. I don't get it. Yes, I am a performer, but I like a lot of other things too. And I can do a lot of other things, but I was never pushed to do those things. And people that look like me often are pushed into sports and entertainment because that's the quickest, easiest way to get generational wealth. If we make it. I remember one of the conversations I had with my mom a few years before she passed. She said the reason she didn't say no to me being on TV was because I would eventually blame her for holding me back. Smart ass in me is like, holding me back from what? Friends, safety, security, good education, fun, my fucking sanity. I went into show business for her. And the crazy thing is it like mostly ruined our relationship. It took the innocence out of it. It created resentment. It's not that we didn't continue to love each other until she died, like, of course, but it could have been so much better with all this without all of that nonsense. Hollywood is not for the faint of heart, even for the well-seasoned. It's a special kind of crazy, so why put a child there? I'm sure your child is extremely talented, but can you be proud of them without it? I wish that those around me, like my mom, I wish she would have learned the business and helped me create a better plan and a good plan for the future, a steady plan. And I think maybe focusing on an artist haven where I could have continued to learn and continued to do things without having to always chase the dollar. What do I want now? Oh my God. I want a calm nervous system.